At the beginning of the movie, we see a couple rock climbing in the dense forests of West Virginia. Rich reaches the top first, and Howie asks him to pull her up, but Rich doesn't respond. Suddenly, his body falls onto the rocks below, and his blood splatters onto Howie's face. A moment later, someone throws Rich's lifeless body off the cliff. In a desperate attempt to save herself, she cuts the rope and drops to the ground. Panicked, she starts running toward her car, trying to escape. But just then, a hidden wire catches her foot, causing her to trip and fall. Before she can get up, someone drags her away into the shadows. From this, we learn that many people have been going missing in West Virginia. Next, we see Chris, who is on his way to an interview but gets stuck in traffic. Curious, he asks a truck driver about the reason for the jam. The truck driver informs him that a vehicle has overturned ahead and that it could take a few hours to clear the road. Not wanting to wait, Chris decides to take a shortcut and eventually arrives at an old gas station. Chris notices an old map at the gas station and finds a road named Bear Mountain. Hoping to save time, he decides to take that route. As he drives forward, he comes across a fork in the road. Unknowingly, Chris takes the wrong turn. While driving along this isolated path, he suddenly spots a dead deer on the road. As he looks at it, he gets distracted, and his car crashes into another vehicle that was parked ahead. The stranded car belongs to a group of college students, Jesse, Carly, Scoven, and Francine, who were on a camping trip. Chris apologizes to them for the accident. The group explains that their car's tires have been mysteriously punctured, and it looks like someone did it on purpose. With no other option, the group decides to split up. Evan suddenly disappears, leaving Francine searching for him. As she walks ahead, she finds Evan's shoe lying on the ground, but as she moves further, she comes across something even more horrifying: his severed ear. Before she can react, something terrifying grabs her from behind. As they walk deeper into the woods, they find a creepy old cabin. Desperate for help, they decide to go inside. But what they discover inside is beyond horrifying. Human body parts, jars filled with unknown substances, and blood everywhere. And then, they spot something even more terrifying: the very trap that was used to puncture their car's tires. And at that moment, they finally realize what was really happening there. Just then, they see a truck approaching the cabin. Panicked, they try to find a way out, but there's no escape. With no other choice, they hide inside the cabin. Chris and Jesse crawl under the bed, trying to stay quiet. But right in front of them lies Francine's lifeless body. Their worst nightmare begins when the mutants start cutting up Francine's body right before their eyes. After finishing their gruesome meal, the killers finally go to sleep. But the group knows they have to escape before it's too late. They try to escape when they get a chance, but one of the people spots them. In order to save their lives, they start running away, and those people follow them in a car. While escaping, they reach a place where they see many cars, but all the cars are broken down. At that moment, they hear the sound of a truck and hide. For the first time, we clearly see those people. They were three brothers: One Eye, Sawtooth, and Three Finger. These three brothers were disfigured mutants who feed on humans. At that moment, Chris comes up with an idea. He decides to escape with their truck and distract them so that the others can make it to the truck. But Sawtooth shoots him, and the bullet hits his leg. One Eye and Three Finger follow him to kill him. Meanwhile, Scott distracts them, and instead of following Chris, they follow Scott. Jassy and Carly pick up Chris and take him to the truck. After opening the door, they find Evan's body lying there. The three of them quickly get into the car and drive away while searching for Scott. They spot him and stop the car, but before he can reach it, One Eye shoots Scott with an arrow and starts shooting arrows at everyone in the car. They quickly escape from there and reach a dead-end road where there is no further path. Afterward, the three of them start walking through the jungle. After walking for a while, they see a tower. They take shelter at the top of the tower, where they find a radio. They begin calling for help. Then Chris notices that the three brothers have tracked them down and arrived at the tower. They quietly sit there, waiting below for them to approach. At that moment, someone answers through the radio, and the three below hear it. They then climb up the tower. Chris goes up and blocks the road. Unable to go any further, the three of them set the tower on fire. Then, Carly wants to jump from there, but Chris stops her. Chris realizes that jumping is their only option. Afterward, Chris and Carly begin jumping off the tower when the three below try to follow them by jumping onto the trees. Three Finger grabs Carly and uses a hatchet to sever her head from her body. Chris then plans to kill Three Finger. Chris grabs a tree branch and pulls it, causing Jesse to trap Three Finger and bring him closer to Chris. Then, Chris lets go of the branch, and Three Finger falls down. Seeing Three Finger's condition, One Eye and Sawtooth become very angry. Afterward, they quietly move toward a waterfall and spend the night there. In the morning, they start walking again and soon spot a road at the base of the mountain. Then, Sawtooth attacks Chris, and Sawtooth takes Jesse with him. Chris then spots a police car on the road below and asks for help. The police were actually searching for them because they had called for help over the radio the previous night. At that moment, One Eye shoots Chris with an arrow. Chris tries to escape in the car, but he fails, and One Eye approaches Doc. However, One Eye can't find him because Chris had hidden. Chris quietly hides under the car, and we see that Kevin is holding Jesse captive. Sawtooth was about to kill her, but then One Eye arrives. One Eye takes the sheriff's body inside, and Sawtooth helps cut the body. After cutting it, when Sawtooth steps forward, Chris sets the house on fire. Then, Chris sets One Eye on fire. At that moment, Chris starts freeing his hands to rescue Jesse. Sawtooth gets up and attacks Chris. Then Jesse shoots him with an arrow. After that, Three Finger arrives and attacks Chris. At that moment, as they are leaving, they realize that no one had actually died. Chris has only one bullet with him, and with that bullet, he shoots the police car's fuel tank, causing an explosion. Then the two of them escape in a truck and reach a gas station. There, Chris tears up the map so no one can use that route again, and they leave.